What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Redemption with Jaden, and today we've got a part 2 sort of thing for the tutorial. If you missed part 1, go ahead and check that out. I can put a link to that in the description. Basically, that was just going over kind of the intro to Redemption and some of the basic card types and that kind of stuff. And in this week's video, I'm going to be going over the rest of the card types that I didn't talk about in that video. And then going to be playing another game with my friend Joel here. How's it going, Joel?
Good. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thanks for being willing to do this again, and hopefully we can get just as good of a game here today. So what we're going to be doing is we're using decks that are kind of a step up from the starter decks that we used last time. So they do have some of the same starter deck cards in them. In fact, the offense and the defense are kind of built from those, but they're going to have some kind of other themes mixed in as well. So as you can see, I've got the white half of the J deck offense. So I've got kind of the Ruth heroes here, but then also adding in some musicians, which we'll kind of get into more, but that's another theme that's also in White Brigade. And then brown is the defense from the I deck, and then that kind of has mostly similar kind of rebellious Israelites theme. And then in Joel's deck, he's going to be using the Judges Canaanites deck. And these decks are built or like pre-designed, I guess, by Derek Torado at YourTurnGames. He has them available at his website, which I'll have a link to in the description if you want to go check out these decks or any of his other starter, contender, challenger decks. Or these ones are the challenger decks, specifically the dueling decks, that you can buy these two together for like 10% off, and it's a pretty good deal if you're kind of wanting to get past just the starter decks and get some extra cards and get into the card types. I guess the first thing I'll talk about is we do have more Lost Souls with special abilities in these decks. So the other ones, or the ones in the main starter decks, or just the starter decks, there's one in each that has an ability when rescued, but there are some that have kind of more constant abilities while they're in play. So this one says must be rescued by a hero with toughness star 4 or greater. And then there's this one beginning in the phase after this card is put in play. It negates all special abilities on Lost Soul cards except this one, so it stops all other abilities on Lost Souls from working. And then this one triggers when you draw. This one triggers if an opponent plays a good dominant. So as you can see, there are kind of different abilities on Lost Souls, and they activate right away when they go in play, or they get triggered at certain other times. We do have some different dominants here. I guess mainly just New Jerusalem being one of them. This is one of the more powerful cards in the game as well. Just as, Son of God is the most powerful, but this one is a way to complement Son of God and allows you to rescue an additional Lost Soul. So I guess that'll be something for you to remember, Joel, is if you have Son of God in your hand, you probably don't want to play it unless you have New Jerusalem to go with it.
Good advice.
Yeah. There is a newer version of New Jerusalem that allows you to copy the last good dominant, play that in the phase. So it's a little bit more versatile. But this is the one that comes with the with this deck, and it's just about as good. I mean, usually you're going to want to be copying your Son of God anyway, so you can play those together. Now we also have, or these decks introduce the sites, which are card type. They have this little pyramids icon in the top left. And how these work is that you can put them down during your preparation and discard phase on your turn. And then only during your preparation phase you can choose to put a Lost Soul into the site. So the site will be occupied by that Lost Soul. And what that does is it makes it so that that Lost Soul can only be rescued by a hero that has a matching brigade to the site. So if I have my Garden of Eden out and I put a Lost Soul into it, then that makes it so that only a silver hero has access to the site or can rescue the Lost Soul from there during a rescue attempt. You can still play like Son of God to rescue the lost soul from there, but during a rescue attempt, the brigade has to match. So it's a way to kind of lock out your opponent if you have a lot of sites. Just for deck building rules, you can only have as many sites in your deck as you have lost souls. Otherwise, it can get kind of crazy with just being able to hide your lost souls. And if your opponent doesn't have site access, ways to give their heroes access to sites of a different brigade, then that can be a powerful strategy. But speaking of site access, the way that multicolor sites work, or I guess all sites, allow you to, another thing you can do with them is you can add them to the battle while your hero's in battle, and then they can give you access to a site of the color that they are if they're unoccupied. So let's say I have a lost soul in my Garden of Eden, and Joel, you're attacking me with a one of your gold heroes. If you had a silver site, or if you had a rainbow site, you could add that site to battle, and you would have access to my Garden of Eden, even with your gold hero.
Okay, so does that kind of work as like an enhancement then?
A little bit. So it's not really like giving your hero a boost in any way, and it's only temporary, um, or like it stays there for the rest of the battle. So it's technically in battle, but it doesn't really do anything. It kind of just sits there to give you access. Um,
Okay, and you activate it when you declare your attacker then?
you can add it to battle at any time during the battle. But if you were, if I only had a lost soul in my silver site, then I could be like, yeah, not going, or I'm not going to block. But then you can choose to add the lost or the site to battle, and then I can be like, okay, well, now that you have access, I'm going to block. So you can kind of decide at which point you want to add it. But if I, if we resolve the battle before you add it, then obviously you wouldn't be able to rescue the lost soul there.
Okay, and can you play those from your hand in order, like in the middle of battle, in order to gain access to a site?
Nope, they actually have to come from your territory.
Okay,
So it's kind of a rule that I guess is in there just to not be able to kind of like surprise someone with access. I mean, I don't know that it would necessarily be too bad, but that's the the way it works, I guess. Has to be added from your territory.
okay, makes sense.
Yep. And then so some sites have special abilities as well. The ones or the single brigade sites in these decks do not, but some have or might have abilities like when this lost soul is occupied, or like when you put a lost soul on this site, then do such and such. And all of those site abilities on or site abilities on sites are active even while in territory, if they're occupied or not, except for the rainbow sites. Rainbow sites have all the good brigades, and they're only active when they're in battle. So this one is also called New Jerusalem, and it allows a hero to gain site access until end of battle, and then it can only be used twice per game, basically. The ability on this one is, since it's kind of an older card, it's a little bit redundant because when you're adding your site to battle, you're giving your heroes access to the site of the same color. So since it's a rainbow site, then it's already giving your hero site access. That the ability, used to be that, or it used to be that you'd have to use the ability to give the hero site access. But this one has a limit. So if you add it to battle twice for 2 rescue attempts, then it will be discarded after those 2 uses. So then the next card type is sort of similar. This is a fortress. It has this little, fortress-looking icon, I guess, in the top left. There are good fortresses and evil fortresses. I believe in Joel's deck he has Tower of Thebes, which is an evil fortress. You can tell because it has like the evil multi-brigade colors on it, whereas this one kind of has the the good multi-brigade colors, similar to New Jerusalem. But fortresses don't actually have brigades. They're kind of like dominants, that they're just, the colors are just there to signify its alignment, whether it's good or evil, but they don't actually count as brigades. Fortresses are similar to sites. I mean, you can put them down in your preparation phase and in your discard phase, and then they have abilities that can, or that like are active while they're in play, basically. Some of them have like triggered abilities, like if an opponent plays a dominant, there's one that you can discard the top card of your opponent's deck. But this one here says your musicians may use enhancements from here as if played from hand, regardless of brigade. So it makes it so that if I had my musician or my white musician was in battle, then I could play a purple enhancement from Musician's Chambers on that hero, even though it doesn't match. And then the identifier here says holds any number of good enhancements involving music. So what the holds part of a fortress does is it allows you to put any card in there from your hand, and I guess also territory, I think by default. And it allows you to put any number of cards, well, I guess up to the limit. In this case, it's any number, but cards that fit the identifier, it allows you to put those in there during your preparation phase. So I can put enhancements that involve music from my hand into Musician's Chambers during my preparation phase, and I can also take them out during my preparation phase if I want. But so that can be a way to kind of like, oh, I've got too many cards in my hand. I'll probably end up having more by the end of my turn. So if I just put enhancements here, you can hold them there. And then also for the effect of playing enhancements regardless of brigade. In this deck that I have here, it's really not that necessary because all of my enhancements are white, or at least they have white, so they can be played on all of my heroes. But if you were to buy this deck, then it would allow you to kind of explore what enhancements actually involve music, and do they fit in this deck. So yeah, for now it'll just be kind of a way to hold enhancements on the side if I want to get them out of my hand. But yeah, any questions about fortresses right away?
I don't think so.
Right.
Well, I guess with this one, I assume when you use the enhancements from Musician's Chambers, they get discarded, correct?
Yep. Yeah. So it's basically just the same as if you were playing them from your hand during the battle. And I guess if they're territory class, you can use them outside of battle as well. So like this one, Gloria in Excelsis Deo, is a hymn, so it involves music. You can see in the identifier down here. And so if I had like a purple musician out, I could play Gloria in Excelsis Deo on my musician during my preparation phase or something because of the territory class icon there.
Okay.
And then the enhancement would be discarded. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense.
All right, so then we have artifacts. Artifacts have this like grail icon in the top left, and you have a single artifact pile is another location that's in play or in your territory, and there you get one artifact activation per turn. So your artifacts, you can put them down in your preparation and discard phase just like normal, but they default to being face down in your artifact pile. And then during your preparation phase, you can choose to activate one of your artifacts in your artifact pile. So this one is Tables of the Law. It says holder may keep up to 10 cards in hand instead of 8. So it kind of it doesn't punish you as much for having too many cards in your hand if you're drawing too much and not able to put characters down, or you can hide more characters in your hand if you don't want your opponent to know what blockers you have or something. So it's kind of a nice versatile card there, especially if you're kind of playing a faster, drawing heavy deck. make sure that you're not wasting resources. And then this one, it's a little bit harder to read, but instead of being kind of a constant ability, it's a on activation ability. So it like triggers once and then nothing, and then it goes away. So it says on activation, discard this card to exchange 2 OT human heroes in your territory with 2 humans in an opponent's territory for 2 turns. So I can activate this, and then say I can do my He-Man and my Kenanaya. I can give those to Joel, and then take 2 of his heroes, and I can use those for 2 turns. The 4-2 turns that any sort of limit on a card like that, those are the kind of things that activate, or that proc, I guess, on your upkeep. So if I do this, then I will have them or on my next turn, it will have been 1 turn in the upkeep. But since it's since I activate this in my preparation phase, that's after upkeep, so I would get it for 2 of your full turns, and I guess 1 of my full turns, and then also the turn that I activate it. If that makes sense.
Okay, so well, it says you have to discard it.
Yep, so it's only a 1-use thing. So you discard stocks of flasks, and then you exchange 2 of your heroes with 2 of your opponent's heroes.
Okay, and you discard it from the artifact pile?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's, as soon as it activates. So yeah, that's kind of the difference between these 2 artifacts, is like one of them is constant. If you activate Tables of Law, its ability is continues to go, but there are other artifacts that are, say, on activation, discard this card to exchange 2. So I would have to choose, during my preparation phase, when I activate Stocks of Flax, I have to do the ability right then. I wouldn't be able to wait like until your turn or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, and then the last new card type or I guess the last 2 new card types are Covenants and Curses. So what these are is that they're both enhancements and artifacts, and they can be used as either one. The Covenants are the ones that are good enhancements and artifacts. The Curses are evil enhancements and artifacts, and they have kind of a different like little snake symbol here for the artifact. It probably would make more sense for it to be the same artifact symbol, but it was kind of more of a like special thing when Curses came out, because they were Covenants had already been around for a while, but the Curses came out in a later set, kind of before the dual type cards were more popular, because now there are hero enhancement cards that you can play either as a hero or an enhancement. And just to be more consistent, it would be better to have the same icons, but the way that all Curses will, if they have an evil enhancement and the snake icon, that means that they are an evil enhancement and an artifact. So they can be, I guess the way that these work in any of your kind of more unknown locations, or like non-played, so like in your deck, in your discard pile, in your hand, they can be targeted as artifacts, enhancements, or curses or covenants, depending on which one they are. So if I had a card that said search my deck for a covenant, or search my deck for an artifact, or search my deck for a good enhancement, I would be able to grab Covenant of Salt with all of those.
Okay.
But once you play it as one or the other, then you can only target it as that. So if I activate Covenant of Salt as an artifact, then I can't say something, or then if you have something that's like discard a good enhancement, you would not be able to target Covenant of Salt.
Okay, and then if it gets sent to the discard pile, it becomes all of them again? Then?
Yep, and it resets to its face value, which is
Okay.
Either one. So, yeah, this one says all OT heroes in play gain 2/2. And the way that um, gain or like usually it's increase or decrease, um, those actually do affect the abilities on the heroes. And for someone like your or my Shpibanob that I had last week, that's a discard a hero with strength 10 or greater. I could, if you have an 8/8 hero and then you have Covenant Assault active, that makes the hero 10/10, and you could target it with a Shpibanob. So it's a little bit
Okay.
different from enhancements. Enhancements don't actually bump up the hero's numbers, but Covenant Assault does.
Okay, so gain is kind of like actually affecting the hero, whereas
Yep,
enhancement is just for like the battle.
yep.
Okay,
So
that makes
then,
sense.
similarly, decrease all opponents' heroes by 0/2 or 0/3 if you have fewest redeemed souls. The ability on Plagued with Diseases here. You can see why that's a curse. So if it's active as an artifact, then it's just kind of a constant thing. And if your hero's toughness, so the second number, or any character, it can be evil characters, can be decreased as well. If it goes below, or if it goes 2 or below 0, then that character is discarded by game rule.
Okay.
So if I have, let's say that I had Jail in my territory, he's a 1/1, and then you activated Plagued with Diseases, then my Jail would be discarded on the spot.
Okay, yeah, because he'd be at or below 0.
Yep. And then the same goes for during battle as well. So like I have Zimri, son of Salu here. It says interrupt wall of protection. We'll talk about interrupt in a second here. It says may ban to a female evil character of any brigade except Brown to decrease a hero in play by 0/6. So if you're coming out with a 5/5 hero and I go out block with Zimri, son of Salu, and banned, then I can decrease a hero in play 0/6. So I can target your hero in battle. So your hero would be a 5 -1, and your hero would be discarded by game rule. But since your hero, or since my ability is removing your hero from battle, that still does give you special initiative to negate that ability if you can.
Okay.
So even though it's discarding by game rule, it still does give special initiative.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. The last thing we're going to talk about before we get into the game here is something about the abilities. It's kind of complicated, so I'll try to lay it out fairly clearly here. I mentioned that Zimri, son of Salu says interrupt wall of protection. So there are three ways to, I guess, stop enhancements from, or stop cards from working. You can also negate other cards. So there's interrupt, there's prevent, and there's negate. So interrupt targets something that has already been played. So if you're interrupting an ability, then you're kind of just like temporarily postponing it until everything else is resolved. So Zimri, son of Salu says interrupt wall of protection. Wall of protection is a fortress that makes it so that you can't, if you have it out, then your opponent can't ban to your characters. So if Joel has a black brigade evil character, or black brigade female evil character, and you have wall of protection out, then when I block with Zimri, son of Salu, I'm going to interrupt the wall of protection that's stopping me from banning, and then as the rest of his ability resolves, so he gets to ban to the female evil characters. So I ban to your Delilah, I guess, is one of the Black Brigade female evil characters in the starter decks. And then after that, then, or after all the abilities there have resolved, then your wall of protection would turn back on. And so future banning that I do would still have to interrupt or negate wall of protection. But interrupt just kind of postpones it. Wall of protection is another fortress, I guess. I didn't mention that, but you can look it up if you're interested later on. And then prevent, it kind of does the opposite. It actually stops cards from the abilities from activating after the prevent has been played. So if something said, prevent enhancements, then any enhancements that were played after that ability, or after the card that prevents the enhancements, would not work. We have a similar card in the iStarter deck that's also in this deck here. Selfish Kinsman says negate enhancements. And the way that negate works as an ability is it interrupts and then prevents the ability. So any enhancements that were already played, I guess say that Joel had gone out with one of his heroes, and I block with an evil character, and Joel plays a card that says draw 2 cards. So Joel gets to draw 2. Then I play an enhancement that says banned an evil character into battle. So I banned in my Selfish Kinsman, and what that will do is it interrupts the ability that Joel got to draw with. So it temporarily postpones it until the rest of the ability completes, and then it prevents all enhancements from that point forward. So it prevents the enhancement that you played, the drawing, from reactivating. So the 2 cards that you drew would go back on top of your deck.
Okay, so basically the negate puts that card's effect at the front of the line, and then prevents the effects for all the others.
Yep, basically. So it kind of targets each of them, or all of the cards individually. So if there are multiple enhancements, it interrupts all of them, and then it prevents them from reactivating.
Okay.
So I guess that might not be the best way to describe it, because there are kind of the way that cards are modified, but it's a good way to think about it. It's not actually the technical way that it happens, because some cards, like Wickedness of the Tenants, says cannot be prevented at the end of the ability. So if used by an OT human, interrupt the battle and discard a human hero, cannot be prevented. So if I were to have played this, and then what I could do is, if I were blocking with Selfish Kinsman, who is now in battle, preventing all further enhancements from being played, or from activating, that can still be played. I could play Wickedness of the Tenants, and because Selfish Kinsman is preventing enhancements, or basically trying to stop them ahead of time, then Wickedness of the Tenants, since it cannot be prevented, it can kind of sneak in under there, and the ability would still work. So I'd still be able to interrupt the battle, and still be able to discard a human hero.
Okay.
There are similar cards that say cannot be interrupted. I'm actually not sure if there are any in these decks. I don't think so, or at least not in this one. But if a card cannot be interrupted, that means that you cannot try to negate it after the fact, but you can prevent it. So you can't, if Selfish Kinsman is in battle, playing something that cannot be interrupted would not get around Selfish Kinsman. But if you played something that cannot be interrupted before Selfish Kinsman was in battle, and then Selfish Kinsman was banded into battle or something, the enhancement that cannot be interrupted would not be undone.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
Stick. Yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
because the Selfish Kinsman wouldn't be able to interrupt that one in particular to be
Right.
able to prevent it. Okay.
So yeah, it's not really the best way to describe it, I guess, is that it's an interrupt and then a prevent, because then it kind of makes it sound like, if a card cannot be prevented, then it can't be negated afterwards. So like, if I have Wickedness of the Tenants and I try to discard your last hero in battle, you have special initiative, and let's say you wanted to play Family Bond, so it negates and discards Wickedness of the Tenants, or I guess maybe, yeah, I guess that still works. So if it's negating Wickedness of the Tenants, it's still stopping it from working after it's been played. So like, it can still interrupt it and then prevent it from reactivating, even though it says cannot be prevented. So it's not it's kind of just a way to think about it, but it's not the actual it interrupts and then prevents, because then it would seem like Wickedness of the Tenants would still reactivate after it's been negated.
Okay, yeah, because negate is kind of its own keyword.
Right.
So it'd have to have cannot be negated in order to not be negated by a card that says that, correct?
Yep. So Family Bond, or if it said cannot be negated, then it would get around Family Bond, or Family Bond would not be able to do it, or cannot be interrupted, because Family Bond was a more responsive card.
Okay.
So I guess, yeah, I think that's everything. Unless you have any more questions about it, but hopefully it'll. I mean, it takes a while to get used to, but hopefully it'll make more sense as we're playing and they come up.
Yeah. I guess I do have one more question. So, a card that says it can't be negated can still be prevented, though?
Nope, because cannot be negated is kind of the most powerful of them, so to speak. So like you can't stop it before, you can't stop it after.
Okay.
So a lot of the kind of older cards will actually say this ability cannot be interrupted, prevented, or negated. But what that actually means is just cannot be negated.
Okay. Yeah, that's about all that I had.
All right, so let's go ahead and draw 8 and get into the game here.
All right, sounds good.
I did not draw any Lost Souls.
All right, so I got a couple.
Alright, so we got a Meek Lost Soul, which I just put in the Meek Daniel Lost Souls for now. These are actually promos because they're a little more valuable because they're from Daniel based on just other cards, but these probably wouldn't be the actual, well, I can say these definitely wouldn't be the actual Meek Lost Souls that are provided with the dueling decks if you were to buy them. But I just put them in there for now. And this is a Punisher Lost Soul, which is pretty good. It's actually in a lot of competitive decks now just because having multiple brigades on offense is usually pretty good because you can just mix the best characters of different brigades and get some synergy there. But I think in this deck here, probably shouldn't have to worry about it too much because I've only got white. Alright, so you get to choose who goes first.
I think I'll go first.
Alright.
Alright, so I don't draw because I'm going first.
Correct.
So we will start with a rescue attempt with Samson.
Alright. And because I don't have any Lost Souls, it would actually be a battle challenge.
Yes.
But I am going to decline.
Alright. Then we will pass the turn.
Alright. There you go. Going first paid off because I drew a Lost Soul. Oh. Actually, I drew 2 Lost Souls. Oh, I drew 3 Lost Souls. Okay. Alright, so we got another Meek Lost Soul. I also got the Shame Lost Soul, which says when you draw this card, you may set aside a hero from each territory for 2 turns. So set aside is kind of like an area outside of your territory where it kind of just sort of like a limbo, I guess, where you can't really do anything with the characters there. You can't like play enhancements on them or attack with them. And since I do not have one in my territory, it actually works out pretty well for me in this case because I can set aside your Samson for 2 turns and not have any disadvantage from myself because I don't have any heroes. So I guess set aside and could maybe just put them like down or over here for now or something. And then the other Lost Soul I drew is beginning of the phase after this card is put in play, negate all special abilities on Lost Soul cards except this one. So because I drew them in my draw phase, the Fight by the Numbers Lost Soul here does not negate my Shame Lost Soul because this is, it activates when you draw this card, and then after that phase it can no longer be negated because it's a instant ability, whereas something like your Punisher is an ongoing ability. So it's always negating the hero special abilities, and so now my Fight by the Numbers Lost Soul would be negating your Punish or Lost Soul.
Okay.
I guess that might be confusing. The reason it's called the Fight by the Numbers Lost Soul is because kind of that ability when you're like on a character or something, when you're in battle, negate all characters and enhancements. It basically makes it what's called a Fight by the Numbers battle. So it's a little misleading if you're unfamiliar because it's Lost Souls don't have any numbers, but it's just because it negates all other Lost Soul cards.
Okay, that makes sense.
So let me put a couple set-aside counters on Samson so you remember when he comes back.
Alright.
And then I'm going to, so I've moved to my upkeep phase now, and that's where the Fight by the Numbers Lost Soul is now active. And then I'll move to my preparation phase and go ahead and put down a Garden of Eden. So because of my preparation phase, I can choose one of my Lost Souls to occupy my site if I would like to. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Fight by the Numbers Lost Soul in there. So that will make it harder for you to rescue the Lost Soul because you need someone who has either site access or is a silver hero or a silver site to put with your hero to give you access, like you mentioned in the intro. So I'm going to go ahead and turn over an artifact, and I can put that face down in my artifact pile. And then I'm also going to activate an artifact, which is going to be Plagued with Diseases. So that will decrease your heroes by 0.2 or 0.3 if I have the fewest redeemed souls. Since we are currently tied, that means I do have the fewest because you and me both have the fewest redeemed souls. So it is 0.3. But I am going to try to make a rescue attempt with my Ruth, and we'll see if we can make it 0.2 by the end of the turn.
Let's see. So all of my heroes have are 0.2 less. Does that count the evil?
Nope.
Like
yeah,
just
your heroes. So your evil characters, their abilities or their numbers are not affected by Plagued with Diseases.
Okay.
But Ruth is negating evil characters' special abilities.
All right. Let's see. How many cards do you have in hand?
I have 7.
Okay. Yeah, I will block with the Woman of Thebes.
Alright, so she says if Tower of Thebes is in play, you can draw an X and play a Black Judge's Enhancement, cannot be negated. Tower of Thebes is an evil fortress that you have in your deck, but since it is not in play, then cannot activate the ability. But since it cannot be negated, if you did have Tower of Thebes in play, you would be able to use it even though Ruth negates evil characters.
Yeah.
So because you are a 4/4 and I'm a 4/3, my 4 strength is beating your 4 toughness, and your 4 strength is beating my 3 toughness, so it is a mutual destruction. And then because you played the last card in battle, then it is my regular initiative, unless you would like to play a dominant.
No, go ahead.
Alright, so I will play Loyalty of Ruth, and I will withdraw the Woman of Thebes and draw a card. But since I'm withdrawing you, that gives you special initiative, and so the draw doesn't resolve until the special initiative resolves. So if you have something to interrupt or negate this ability.
Yeah, I do not, so I will be withdrawn.
Alright, and then I will draw 1. Alright, and then you get to choose which Lost Soul I rescue.
Alright, I'll give you the meek one.
Cool. So that's discarded. Ruth goes back to my territory. And don't think I want to play anything else here. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the turn to you.
Alright. And then I will -1 set aside on Samson.
Yep, nice. So Because now after your draw phase, you go to your upkeep, and that's where Samson goes down. It always counts on the upkeep of the player who owns the card. So even though I use the set aside ability, it's still in your upkeep. It
Okay.
comes down.
All right. So let's make a rescue attempt with Ehud.
Ehud, nice. So he is a 7/4. I guess now a 7/2, because he's decreased by 0/2. And because I have no male evil characters in my territory, you do not get to choose one to block. But he does have first strike, which I think I am going to block with Abner. So Abner also has first strike, but since neither of us, or since I'm only beating you and you're not beating me, then it is your initiative. In the case where it was a mutual destruction, the first strike on both of our characters would just cancel out, basically.
Okay. So you said it was my initiative?
Yep.
Alright, I will play a Samuel's Edict.
Alright, so you can negate an evil card and discard an evil character. So
Yes. So can I negate Plagued with Diseases, or is that not a valid target?
Nope, because now that Plagued with Diseases is active as an artifact, it is a neutral card. So I guess
Okay.
Not sure if I mentioned the neutral alignment, but sites and artifacts are both, and Lost Souls are all neutral cards. And so once I play Plagued with Diseases as an artifact, then it is only an artifact or a curse. But the artifact makes it so that it is a neutral card now.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
you
so
can discard Abner or target him
yes.
for discard.
Yep, we will do that.
And then it says, cannot be negated if the only hero in battle is Samuel or a judge with no special ability. So because Ehud does have a special ability, it is cannot be negated. So I'm going to play Stiff-Necked to negate and discard the last good enhancement played this battle.
Alright. Well, I don't have anything, so...
Alright. It was a good thing I set aside your Samson, otherwise your Samuel's Edict would have cannot be negated.
Yeah. Alright, well, I don't have anything else, so...
Alright, so then Ehud would die by the numbers.
Alright, we'll play a Promised Land,
Nice.
and then pass the turn.
Yeah, so Promised Land is kind of like the New Jerusalem that I have in my deck, and you can give your heroes access to my Garden of Eden. So I will draw 3. And I will put down a fortress, which will be Musician's Chambers. And now it has a holds ability, so I can put enhancements in there during my preparation phase if I would like to. But I will not do that. And I will just try to make another rescue attempt with Ruth.
Alright, I will block with Lot's Wife, and then I can band with another evil character.
Yep.
So can I band with Abner?
Yep.
Alright, we will do that.
So yeah, when a band ability, it defaults to play and also your hand. So if you had an evil character in hand that you wanted to band to, you could do that. But also Abner works.
Alright. Yeah, we'll stick with Abner.
Sounds good. Alright, so you are a 12/11. Quite big. This is my initiative. Or would you like to play Dominant?
Nope, go ahead.
Alright, so I'll play Devotion of Ruth to withdraw Lot's Wife and Abner, which gives you special initiative once again.
Alright, let's see. let's. I'm going to play a foolish advice to negate all character cards and enhancement cards except this one.
Oh, actually, you know what? I just realized that Ruth would be negating your Lot's wife.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot about that part. So, I guess
Okay.
say you can choose a different block if you want.
Um. Hmm. I guess in that case we'll block with Vera, King of Sodom.
Okay, so he is a 3/4, and I'm a 4/3, which makes it mutual destruction. And this guy kind of has an irrelevant ability in this case. But there is a Sodom site in your deck, but I don't think you'll have any Red Brigade heroes to capture in this case. But it's a mutual destruction, which means that it is my initiative, so I'm going to try the same thing here and withdraw Bara, King of Sodom.
Alright, so I guess I will do the same thing then as well and play a foolish advice to
Makes
negate
sense.
all character cards and enhancement cards except this one.
Alright, so yep, negating my Devotion of Ruth, and then that adds 2/4, so you are now a 5/8, and I am a 6/4, which means that you are beating me by the numbers. So I think I'm going to let's see what I say. Is that 6? And I'm going to play Undefiled. So the special ability is negated by Foolish Advice. So that doesn't work, but I'm just playing by the numbers. So this is, I guess, an example of that fight by the numbers idea, or kind of the older cards, like the Foolish Advice here says battle is determined by the numbers. So so that puts me up to 10/7.
Alright, and I am currently at 5/8.
Yep.
So I will play a Fortify Site, making me a 6/13.
Nice. 13, let's see. I'm at 10. Sure, let's go for it and go all out. I've got 3, 4, so 7, 9, 13 now. So my 13 is beating your 13. And I have 11 toughness now. So
Alright, so are we mutually assured right now?
So right now I'm winning outright. So I have 11 toughness, which is bigger than your 6 strength as well.
Alright. And I can play a dominant if I want?
Yep.
Alright, we will play Christian Martyr to discard Ruth.
Oh man, all her hard work. Alright, so Ruth is discarded along with all of her enhancements, and then your Bara is successful in battle and goes back to territory.
Alright.
So, that will end my turn then. I'll pass.
Alright. We got another Lost Soul for you here.
Oh, good.
And another one.
Get another hero to try to rescue him.
Yeah. Alright. So we will. I take the set aside counter off of Samson on my upkeep. Does that mean he returns back to my territory, or is it on the next upkeep?
He returns this turn, yep.
Okay. So he'll return to my territory. Let's see. And then we will. We will attack with Samson with the Promised Land.
Okay. Hmm.
So I'm gonna try to rescue the one in the silver site.
Well, so since I get to choose which one you rescue, I can choose
Oh,
to give
okay.
you one that's not in the site.
Oh, okay.
So because Promised Land has only, or is limited to 2 uses, then it might be good to just wait on adding that since you have access to the other Lost Souls at the moment.
Okay, yeah. I might do that.
Alright. Um, so you've got a 12-4 Samson.
Yes.
I will block with Shafat. So he lets me look at your hand.
All right.
What you got here? Ooh, capturing Canaan. So yeah, I guess the way that capture works is that it makes a character become a lost soul. So by default, if you or the captured characters go to your land of bondage. So if you were to play capturing Canaan, and you were to capture both my Abner and my Shaphat, because Samson is a judge, you can do 2. If you captured both of them, then they would both become lost souls in your land of bondage.
Okay.
Um, Alright, I will conceal your hand. And then, is it my initiative then?
Yes.
Alright, I will place in the camp to withdraw all heroes.
All right. Well, I mean, I think you saw I don't really have an answer to that. So.
Yep.
All right. Then I will pass the turn.
Cool. I'll draw 3. Get another lost soul. Alrighty. So that works well with that. The curse there. I will put down my New Jerusalem, which is kind of the let's see, so you had Wickedness of Delilah, so your Yule enhancement. Don't remember if you had any other evil characters, but let's see, you had 5 cards, so Tola, Son of God, Wickedness of Delilah, Capturing Canaan, and yeah, we'll risk it. I'm gonna go out with Asaph, make a rescue attempt.
All right. So good enhancements involving music can't be negated. All right, we will block with Lot's wife, and this time she will actually activate her ability.
Oh, right, that's the one that you had.
Yes, and we will steal Abner.
Alright. I should have remembered that one for sure. Alright, so you're 12, 11, I'm a 6, and I do not have anything to do about that, so Asaph will be discarded.
Alright, so I'll return Abner to you,
Yep.
and Lot's wife to my territory.
Cool, and then I will pass the turn.
Alright. So... Yes, we will attack with Samson
Again. Alright, so still a 12-4. Which means that probably work. Let's see, I don't want to block with Abner because that would give you initiative, so I'm going to block with Shaphat again, and we'll see what you drew.
Alright.
Maybe I'll remember a little bit better this time. Another battle winner. You got the Ox Goad. Ooh, a very good defensive battle winner. So I guess just for your reference, the woman of Thebes, she's got Canaanite in the identifier, but Lot's wife is also a female Canaanite.
Okay.
And Bera, king of Sodom, is a Canaanite, but he is male.
Yes.
as you know, the king.
Yep.
And a Jephthah as well. Alright. So we'll conceal your hand. And is my initiative?
Yes.
Alright, I will play Israelite Rebellion. So because your toughness is decreased by plague with diseases, then I can capture your Samson.
Alright. So I have to negate that.
Yep, so if you had an interrupt or negate, then that would work.
Alright, well...
Don't believe you do.
Yeah. Alright.
But Samson is captured, then that gets discarded.
Alright, well, I'm at 7, so I will pass to you.
Alright, see if I can recover some resources here. Not a bad draw. I guess we gotta make you use something, right? Just gonna put Heatman down. It's Heatman, and I'm going to make a rescue attempt with Ethan. So I can search my discard pile for a good enhancement involving music and add it to hand. So I'm going to take Gloria and Excelsis Deo. It's the only one involving music.
Alright, curses or weapons in play. And then negating special abilities on evil humans. Alright. So... We'll block with the woman from Thebes.
Alright. Still no Tower of Thebes, but since you are a 4/4 and I am a 5/5, it is your initiative.
Alright, we will play the Stone of Thebes to discard Ethan.
Yep. And that cannot be negated because it's used by a female Canaanite, so nothing I can do about that.
Alright.
But made you use it at least.
Yep.
And then I will pass the turn.
Alright. Alright, so we'll put down the Tower of Thebes.
There it is.
Alright, and then...
So now, in your preparation phase, if you want to, you could put any number of your black Canaanites into the fortress, but if they are there, you can't block from the fortress, which is why it says if attacked, you may return a card here or from here to territory. So then they can block if I attack.
Okay, so is that kind of like keeping them from being banded by you?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe so.
Alright.
Well, actually, I'm not sure because I think banned defaults to play. I would have to check on that. I probably won't be banning to your Yoba characters anytime soon, but
Alright.
it's mostly to get the effect of negating heroes if since it's only active while occupied.
Okay.
Oh, wait, it says protect contents from opponents, so yeah, I definitely can't ban.
Okay. Alright. We will make a rescue attempt with Ibzan.
Ibzan, and he makes good judges enhancements, cannot be negated. Alright, so you for sure got Shamgar's Oxgoad and capturing Canaan. So I could do that, but Alright, I will block with Abner.
Alright. So I believe well, I guess, do I have initiative then?
Yep.
I'm lower power toughness.
Yep.
Alright, so we will play Trumpets and Torches to underdeck Abner.
Alright, and because that is judges, it cannot be negated. And also, I guess one thing I should mention, so any ability that grants a modifier, like cannot be negated, or such and such cannot be interrupted, or something cannot be prevented, those are all modifiers that actually inherently cannot be negated. So basically, if your Tower of Thebes was occupied, that would not stop your Ibzan from working.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess I should have mentioned that before. If you want to, you could put an evil character in Tower of Thebes to stop my heroes from working, since I don't know if you chose not to because you were worried it would affect Ibzan.
Oh, no. No, I didn't realize that it was... yeah.
Okay. Alright, so Abner will be sent to the bottom of my deck, and I am going to let you rescue Samson.
Alright. Then I will pass the turn.
So a note on captured characters. If the captured character is an angel or a demon, then they cannot be redeemed like Samson was there. But any human characters that are captured can be rescued like Samson was.
Okay.
So I drew the Shut Door Lost Soul. So if you play a dominant, I can put this Lost Soul beneath my deck.
Alright.
And what can I do with He-Man here? Or can I do anything? Is the question. I'm going to put down an artifact face down in my artifact pile. And we're going to leave Plagued with Diseases active still. And don't think I really have much to do here, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass.
Alright. Let's see. So we will start by playing Sodom.
Ah, cool.
Then... Let's see. We will make a rescue attempt with Tola.
Alright.
Which will allow me to draw a card.
That it will.
Alright.
And Tola is a 6/1 now because of Plagued with Diseases.
Yes.
So I'm going to block with Shafat, and I'm going to look at your hand again.
Alright.
Ooh, got the Angel of the Lord, huh?
Yep.
So I got the Ox Goad and the Capturing Canaan, and an evil character, and Give You Night Curse. That one's gonna have to make sure I play around that one. So that one would allow you to, if there was if I play my Angel of the Lord and it's in my discard pile, then you can search my deck for like my Son of God or New Jerusalem or something and discard it. So that would be pretty bad. Alright, so I'll conceal your hand, and now I am a 3-2, and you are a 6-1, so that makes it mutual destruction, which means that it is your initiative, but you can pass because you would technically, or you would win the Lost Soul if we both passed here.
Alright. And even if I pass and you play something, I can still play after that, right?
Well, if I play something to like remove you, then you would have to have a negate or like an interrupt to stop it.
Yeah.
So since you don't have a negate in your hand, it would probably be best to try to get rid of me first and make me be on the defensive.
Okay. Let's... Sure, we'll play Shamgar's Oxgone to try to discard Shafat.
Alright, so because it's not Philistine, so I only get to discard one, but I have nothing to stop that, so Shafat will be discarded, and I will give you a Meek Lost Soul.
Alright. And then, am I able to play an artifact now, or is that only before
You can
battle?
put it down face down in your artifact pile, but you can't activate it.
Alright. So, we will... Oops, here we go. We'll put one artifact into my pile, which you probably already know what it is, and then I'll pass the turn.
Alright, I'll draw 3. And drew a Lost Soul, so do another one. So this one must be rescued by a hero toughness star 4 or greater, which kind of works well with Plagued with Diseases here, because you can knock down the toughness of your opponents, but since there are plenty of Lost Souls out to rescue, you probably don't have to worry about it too much. Okay, well, how do we want to do this? We saw what you had there. Yeah, I think I'm just going to turn over my Plagued with Diseases and activate my Tables of the Law instead. So I have 9 cards in my hand, but I'm going to go ahead and pass the turn because I can have up to 10 instead of 8.
Alright. Let's see. So I got a Meek Lost Soul. Oh, and another one. Alright. So let's yeah, we will make a rescue attempt with Ibzan.
Ibzan coming back out. Alright. So I know that you have Angel of the Lord. I know that you have your capturing Canaan. So how do I respond here? Yeah, so I'm going to block with Gomer. It says my ban to a malleable character and cannot be negated. So, oh shoot, doesn't work. I will ban to your Bera, King of Sodom.
Alright. So you are a 6/7?
Yep.
Alright. So I believe that gives you initiative, correct?
Yep, unless you want to play a dominant.
No, go ahead.
Alright, so I will play Self-Doubt and return a hero in play to the top of owner's drop pile. So I'll top deck your Ibzan.
Alright, I will play Ehud's Dagger to interrupt and discard an evil enhancement or evil king. And it
Nice.
cannot be negated because it is used by a judge, but also because Ibzan makes it, so it can't be negated.
Yep, double cannot be negated. All
Yep,
right.
so I will negate self-doubt.
Sure you don't want to discard your Barracking of Sodom?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. So that brings it back to my initiative here, and I've got nothing else, so Gomer and Barrow will be discarded.
Alright,
And I will give you another Meekloth Soul.
sounds good. So then I am at 8 in my hand, so I will pass the turn.
Alright. And we'll draw 3. Another Lost Soul. And well, you're already at 3, so I gotta try to go for it here. Just see if I can do anything. Let's actually going to turn down my tables of law and put down Naomi. And I'm going to activate my stalks of flax. So I can discard it to exchange 2 OT humans in my territory with 2 heroes in an opponent's territory for 2 turns.
Alright.
So I'm gonna give you these 2, and I'm gonna take these 2. Then I will make a rescue attempt with Tola and draw 1.
Alright. So we will let's see. We will block with Lot's wife, and then
Alright.
band to Shechem for my hand.
Alright, so if another Canaanite is in play, you can capture a female hero or transfer a captured character to opponent's land of bondage. So
Can't do either of those because I don't have any captured characters, and it is not a female that you are attacking with.
Yep.
Basically,
So,
just bringing her out for the extra body.
if you want to, you could capture my Naomi, since she is female and in play, because it doesn't specify you have to capture a female hero in battle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we will do that then.
Okay. So you are 9, 10. Alright, well, I'm going to play Angel of the Lord to discard your Shechem.
Alright, well, don't have anything for that, so we'll discard Shechem.
Okay. And then it is now your initiative, because you are at 3-3.
Alright, let's see. I guess we'll play Wickedness of Delilah to underdeck Tola.
Alright, so he is being underdecked. Then special initiative, I'm going to use my family bond to negate and discard Wickedness of Delilah.
Alright. And I do not have anything after that.
Oof, good.
Alright, so I will give you a Meek Soul as well.
Okay. Good work, Tola. Way to fight for the right team now. Alright, and that will be all for me. I'll pass.
Alright. So can I play a dominant?
Unless it's Son of God of New Jerusalem, then you can't. But
Well, you see.
yes, you may.
All
Since it
right.
is your turn,
I will.
you have dominant initiative.
Yes, I will play my Son of God and a New Jerusalem.
Alright, so you can negate and rescue a lost soul, and then rescue an additional lost soul, and that will put you at 5. Yeah, as soon as you got to 3, I was like, well, I don't really want to have to play my Angel of the Lord, since you could use your Gibeonite Curse to get rid of my New Jerusalem, but because I had Son of God in my hand as well. But
Yes.
I was hoping with that one card off of Tola that I could get my New Jerusalem and then not have to worry
Do what
about
I
it.
did.
Yep. All right.
All right. Well, good game.
Yeah, good game. Yeah, the the mistake I made with Gomer was I wanted to ban to the Jerry Youth so that I would be able to play an enhancement before you would get to play Angel or another enhancement. But since since Gomer bans to a male evil character, and the Jeering Youth
Yeah,
is
and this one is genderless.
genderless in here, so in the identifier. So, but I guess it didn't really matter because you had the interrupt and discard anyway.
Yep.
So, all right, I guess that is the game. I'm gonna see if there are any cards in here that I want to mention that didn't get played. I mean, we got pretty much every type down and doing something, so that was good.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions that you thought of, or?
Not off the top of my head.
Cool. All right. Well, it was kind of a longer intro, so a shorter game should be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for joining me once again.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, and thanks to all of you who are watching. And again, the link to these decks is in the description if you want to check them out on YourTurnGames, and you can buy them. They're pretty good for starting out, and you get some of the extra dominance from the starter decks is always good too. And since that way, or this is a good way to get those without having to buy new starter decks, but you can also buy singles from YourTurnGames as well, so feel free to check them out. And then like I said, if there are more questions or more I guess demand for kind of a third part that uses or I would probably use the contender decks that are available on YourTurnGames, and those are kind of the step above challenger decks, where they're kind of at like a competitive tournament level, but they're toned down just a little bit so that they're more moderately priced, so it won't have all of the super high cost cards, but the synergy is still good there. It also has a reserve, which is not something that we got to in these decks, so if you want to learn more about how that works, then you can do that. I have played a couple of games with the contender decks on my channel, so yeah, if you can find those, you can give those a watch, and it might be easier to understand some of the cards since there's not as many complicated interactions, but they're also those videos weren't meant to be tutorials for anything. They were kind of just showing off the decks. So yeah, maybe I'll have to go and do that if you guys want to see more of that. But for now, we will catch you later. Bye.